Welcome to this deep dive. If you're joining us today, you are probably exactly like me. You're insanely curious, you want to stay well informed, but you look at the sheer mountain of information out there,
Yeah.
the endless feeds, the articles, the data.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It just feels completely overwhelming. You want to understand what's happening in the world, but you also want a pace that respects your time. And that is exactly what we do here. We take a stack of sources, we synthesize the most critical nuggets of knowledge, and we give you the shortcut to being the most informed person in the room.
Right.
And today, we're diving into something that affects quite literally every single one of you listening.
It really does. It's practically impossible to navigate the modern world without brushing up against the realities we're about to discuss today. If you have a smartphone in your pocket right now, you are on the front lines of this.
Exactly. Today, our source material is a fascinating, highly distilled document titled 14th Day, The Influencer's Guide to Social Media Security and Scams. Now, even though it has the word influencer in the title, I want to be clear right out of the gate.
Yeah, that title can be a little misleading.
Right. This is a survival guide for absolutely anyone who has a digital footprint. Whether you have 10 million followers or just 10 family members on your friends list, the mechanics of how you're targeted are largely the same.
Completely the same.
We're going to unpack exactly how sophisticated hacks happen, how everyday people and followers are exploited, and most importantly, we're going to walk you through the definitive, bulletproof checklist to protect yourself.
Which is so needed right now.
But before we get into the actual mechanics of these scams, we need to set the stage. The document starts with a very profound premise about what social media actually is today, and it completely reframes how we should look at our apps.
Yes. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, this is the paradigm shift that explains why cybercrime is exploding at such an unprecedented rate. The text explicitly states that social media is no longer just for entertainment.
That era is over.
Dead and gone.
Yeah.
It has fundamentally evolved into a trinity. It is your identity, your business, and your income source.
Wow. Okay, let's unpack this. Because this Trinity identity, business, income source, it changes the stakes completely. I mean, think about how much of our actual real-world lives are tethered to a username and a password now.
It's staggering when you really break it down.
Yeah.
For a long time, we treated social media like a digital scrapbook. It was where you posted a picture of your dinner or a vacation sunset or caught up with an old high school friend.
Right. If you lost access to that account back in, say, 2010, it was a nuisance.
Exactly. It was a loss of sentimentality. But the source material is pointing out that this casual relationship with our platforms is entirely over. Let's look at identity first. For many people, especially younger generations, your social media handle is your primary identifier.
It's basically a digital driver's license.
It really is. It's how you authenticate yourself to the wider world. It's your reputation. It's how people verify that you are who you say you are. If someone takes that over, they aren't just stealing your vacation photos, they're effectively putting on a digital mask of your face.
That's a terrifying visual.
They're walking around your community, interacting with your friends, your family, your colleagues, all while wearing your voice and your history. The level of personal violation there is immense. Now, layer business on top of that.
Right. For influencers, for creators, and even for traditional brick-and-mortar small businesses. An Instagram or Facebook page is the digital storefront.
It's the only storefront for a lot of people. It's where customer service happens. It's where brand identity is forged. It's where they announce new products. If the bakery down the street loses their Instagram, they basically vanish from the local map.
They cease to exist in the digital ecosystem.
Precisely. And then we reach the ultimate escalation of this trinity, the income source. When your identity and your business are both housed on these platforms, they become the direct funnel for your livelihood.
The brand sponsorships, the ad revenue, the direct sales.
The freelance bookings. It all flows through that single point of failure. So when we ask why hackers are targeting social media users with such incredible, relentless aggression, this trinity is the answer.
They aren't trying to steal your memories.
They don't care about the pictures of your dog. They're trying to hijack your identity, hold your business hostage, and siphon off your income source. You have become the ultimate high-value target because your entire digital existence is consolidated into one login screen.
That is a terrifying way to look at it, but it's so necessary to understand the stakes. We aren't just guarding apps, we're guarding our digital lives. And that brings us to the core theme, the absolute mission statement of today's deep dive.
This is the anchor for the whole discussion.
The original text hinges on a really powerful mantra. The more followers you have, the greater your responsibility.
More followers, more responsibility.
The bigger the audience, the bigger the responsibility, and the bigger the risk. We're going to return to this mantra again and again today because it frames everything. If you build an audience, you are not just managing your own security, you become the guardian of your followers' safety.
Because your security breach becomes their financial ruin.
Exactly. So, with that heavy realization in mind, let's wade into part 1, the psychology of the hack. Specifically, we're looking at Instagram and Facebook.
This section is brilliant because it shows exactly how hackers exploit human nature, not just computer code. The technology is often secondary to the psychological manipulation.
Right. And the first method the text outlines is the phishing link, specifically deployed through direct messages on Instagram. The source gives a very specific, chilling example of what this looks like.
It happens every day.
Imagine you're going about your day, maybe you just posted a reel you worked really hard on, and you get a DM. It says in very official language, your account will be deleted due to copyright violation, along with a link to appeal the decision.
Your stomach drops.
Oh, completely. Now, I want to spend some real time on this because I used to think, who falls for this? I feel like if I clicked a fake Instagram link, I'd notice the URL looked weird or the page looked cheap.
You would think so. Our logical brains always assume we'd spot the inconsistencies. But what's fascinating here is the specific choice of the threat. Copyright violation and imminent account deletion.
Right.
Hackers know that for creators, businesses, and everyday users alike, the threat of losing the account triggers an immediate, visceral fight-or-flight response. We just spent several minutes discussing how the account is their identity, business, and income. Threatening to delete it is the digital equivalent of someone calling you and saying, your house is on fire and the structure is collapsing.
You don't pause to analyze the font on the side of the fire truck, you just panic.
Pure panic. And panic is the enemy of critical thinking. When you are in a state of acute stress, your brain's amygdala, the fear center, takes over, and your logical prefrontal cortex basically shuts down. You literally stop processing the subtle signs of a scam.
So you're not even looking for the red flags.
Exactly. The text explains exactly what happens next in this state of induced panic. The user clicks the link in a blind rush to fix the problem and save their digital life. A fake login page opens up. Because the user is terrified and operating on pure adrenaline, they don't look up at the URL bar to see that it says something slightly off, like Instagram-support-porter.com instead of the real address.
They just see the familiar logo.
They see the exact same layout.
And the source points out that these fake pages are identical, right? They aren't clunky anymore. They use the exact same color hex codes, the exact same fonts.
Completely indistinguishable to a panicked eye. So the user urgently types in their username and password, thinking they are logging in to plead their case to the copyright team.
And boom, just like that, they hit enter, and the hacker captures the credentials in real time. You hand over the keys to your house because you thought you were talking to the fire department.
It's devastating because it relies entirely on manufacturing a crisis. It perfectly highlights a crucial vulnerability in modern cybersecurity. Hackers don't need to break into Instagram's heavily fortified, multi-billion-dollar servers.
It takes too much effort.
Way too much technical skill. They just need to break into your psychology. They use fear to make you open the heavily fortified door from the inside and invite them in.
Which leads us perfectly to the second method the source outlines. Because if that first copyright scam uses the stick fear and panic, this next one uses the exact opposite emotion. It uses the carrot. It uses ambition.
Oh, this one.
The text calls this the vanity trap, or the fake brand collaboration.
This one is incredibly insidious, especially for anyone who is actively trying to build a presence or a business online. It preys on their deepest professional desires.
Let's walk through the scenario exactly as the text lays it out. You get a message, perhaps to your business email or your DMs, and it says something to the effect of, "We love your content. We want to collaborate on a major campaign. Click this link to see the contract and the product mood board."
It sounds so legitimate.
Okay, let's unpack this. For an influencer or someone just starting to gain traction, a brand collaboration is the holy grail. It is the ultimate validation that you have made it. It is the precise moment you transition from just posting content as a hobby to actually generating that income source we talked about.
Exactly. It preys entirely on aspirations. Think about the mindset of the target here. You have been grinding for months or years, posting content daily, studying algorithms, trying to build an audience, and finally, a brand notices your hard work.
The ego boost is intoxicating.
You feel seen, you feel valued. Your guard drops completely because this is the exact message you have been praying to receive. So when they say, click this link to review the campaign details, the user's intense desire to secure the deal completely overrides their natural skepticism.
They want it to be true so badly that they ignore the red flags.
Yes. And the source material points out the trap waiting on the other side of that click. That link is absolutely not a contract. It operates in two ways. It's either direct malware that silently infects the device the moment you click, allowing them to scrape your data in the background, or, more commonly, just like the phishing scam we just discussed, it routes you to a fake login page.
Right.
The page might say, log in with your Instagram to verify your creator status for this brand portal.
And again, the blending of business and identity makes people so eager to comply. You want the business deal so desperately that you compromise the very identity that attracted the deal in the first place.
It's a brilliant, devastating manipulation of human hope. You are literally destroyed by your own ambition.
It really is a masterclass in psychological exploitation. It shows how adaptable and observant these scammers are. They study what people fear losing their accounts, and they study what people desire, fame and money. Both avenues lead to the exact same trapdoor. They don't care how you fall in, as long as you fall. But wait, let me play devil's advocate here as the listener. Let's say I'm pretty tech savvy. I know about phishing. More importantly, I have two-factor authentication, or 2FA, turned on for all my accounts. I always get a text message with a code before I log in.
A very common defense.
So I might think, well, even if they trick me with a fake login page and get my password, they still can't get in because they physically don't have my phone to receive that one-time 6-digit code. But the text outlines a method to defeat this, and honestly, reading this part made my blood run cold.
The 2FA reset attack.
Yes.
This is where we see the terrifying limits of technological security when human beings are the ones operating the system. The 2FA reset attack is pure social engineering. Here's how the text breaks it down step by step. First, the hacker manages to get your password.
Through one of the phishing traps we just discussed.
Right, or maybe it was exposed in a massive corporate data breach years ago and you reuse passwords. Either way, they had the password. So they sit at their computer and try to log into your account.
But the platform stops them dead in their tracks, right? Because 2FA is active.
Yes, the system works flawlessly. The platform blocks the hacker's login attempt and immediately sends a one-time password and OTP directly to your personal phone. So far, the technology has done its job. You are safe.
So what do they do?
The hacker anticipates this. They don't give up. They immediately pivot to the social element. They reach out to you directly.
How do they do that without sounding suspicious? I'd immediately know something was wrong if a stranger texted me.
They're incredibly clever about it. They might hack a mutual friend's account first, so the message appears to come from someone you already trust. Or they might impersonate a support technician from the platform. They send you a message that sounds incredibly polite, slightly embarrassed, and completely innocuous.
What do they say?
They say something like, hey, I'm so sorry I was trying to log into my own account, and I accidentally typed your number by mistake. I received a recovery code on your phone. Please send it to me so I can get back into my account. Or they'll say, hi, this is Instagram support. We are verifying your account security. Please read back the 6-digit code we just sent your device.
And this is the fatal flaw in the human condition. Because we are socially conditioned to be helpful, to resolve small misunderstandings quickly, and to trust authority figures like support people, just hand it over.
They willingly hand over the only physical key that was keeping the hacker out. They bypass multi-million-dollar, state-of-the-art encryption protocols designed by some of the smartest engineers on Earth, not by writing complex algorithms, but by simply asking politely.
It's crazy when you put it like that.
They use your own decency, your politeness, and your desire to be helpful as a weapon against you. This is why the source text lays down an absolute, non-negotiable ironclad rule right here in the document. Never share an OTP.
Never. Under absolutely no circumstances.
No legitimate company, no real friend, no actual support technician will ever, in any scenario, need you to read them an OTP that was generated for your account. That system is automated. If that text message arrives on your phone, it is for your eyes only. The moment another human being asks you for those digits, you are looking at a scammer. Full stop.
It's so chilling because it's so incredibly simple. It bypasses the tech completely. Now let's pivot slightly from Instagram to Facebook because the text outlines 4 specific vulnerabilities that are incredibly common there, and they paint a really complete picture of the threat landscape.
Facebook has its own unique set of issues.
We've got the fake security alert emails, which operate much like the DM phishing we just discussed, panic, click, steal. We have messenger scams, where compromised accounts message their entire friends list with malicious links to spread the infection exponentially. And we have the enduring, frankly baffling problem of weak passwords. The text literally cites 123456 and password 123 as ongoing major issues today.
Which, if we could just pause on that for a second,
Wait.
is a staggering testament to human friction.
I mean, come on. I have to laugh because it's just so absurd. We are literally flying remote-controlled helicopters on the surface of Mars. We have artificial intelligence writing symphonies, and people are still using their kindergarten counting skills, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, to protect their life savings and their business identity. It's maddening.
It is maddening, but it's fundamentally human. We hate having to remember complex strings of characters. Our brains are not designed for it. So we prioritize minor daily convenience over the abstract threat of a hack.
We think, it won't happen to me.
We convince ourselves of that, even though, as we've established, our identity, business, and income are resting on those 6 predictable numbers. Hackers use automated software that can guess 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in a fraction of a millisecond. It's like putting a paper lock on a bank vault.
It's a disaster waiting to happen. But the vulnerability I really want to focus on here, the 4th one listed for Facebook, is public Wi-Fi login capture. Because I think this is a scenario almost everyone listening can relate to, and it feels so harmless. Let's paint a picture for you, the listener.
I love this scenario. It's so real.
Imagine you're traveling through an airport, or maybe you're just at your favorite local corner coffee shop down the street. You order your latte, you sit down at a cozy table, and you want to get some work done. Or maybe you just want to check the messages on your Facebook business page.
Very normal Tuesday morning.
You open your laptop or pull out your phone, and you go to your settings to look for a network. You see one labeled Cafe Guest Wi-Fi free, no password required. You click connect. It feels like a convenience, a little perk of being a customer. You feel productive.
But what you don't realize is that the network might not belong to the cafe at all. It could be a rogue hotspot set up by someone sitting 2 tables away. Or even if it does legitimately belong to the cafe, it is an entirely unsecured, unencrypted network.
Right, so you don't think twice. You open your browser, you go to Facebook, you type in your email, you type in your password, you hit enter. To you, everything looks normal, the page loads. But expert, tell us what is actually happening in the invisible air around you in that exact moment. How does the theft occur without anyone touching your device?
This is where the unseen threat lies. And it requires a bit of an analogy to really grasp. Think of sending information over an unsecured public Wi-Fi network, like sending a letter through the postal service.
Okay, I'm with you.
Normally, on a secure network at your home, you put your letter in a thick, tamper-proof envelope, seal it shut, and hand it directly to the postman. Only the recipient can open it. But when you use open, free public Wi-Fi, you aren't using an envelope.
What are you using?
You are writing your password on a postcard in big, bold letters and tossing it into the air for anyone to grab.
That is a terrifying visual.
It's exactly what happens digitally. You can't see the data traveling through the air, but anyone with the right software that is frighteningly easy and often free to download on the internet, can listen to all the network traffic floating around that room.
Oh, wow.
It is a technique called packet sniffing. Going back to our analogy, packet sniffing is just a hacker standing in the middle of the post office, grabbing all the postcards as they fly by and reading them.
So they don't even have to do anything active.
Nope. A hacker could literally be sitting 3 tables away from you, drinking the exact same coffee, quietly capturing the data packets traveling between your laptop and the cafe's router. When you type in your password and hit enter, they intercept that data packet in real time. They see the exact keystrokes.
And the most insidious part is that you would have absolutely no idea. No alarm bells go off on your screen, no warning pop-ups. You just log in as usual, check your notifications, enjoy your coffee. And meanwhile, a total stranger across the room has just casually captured the keys to your entire digital identity.
Exactly. And because people often use the exact same password across multiple platforms, which loops right back to the weak password issue the text highlighted earlier, that hacker doesn't just have your Facebook. They likely have your primary email account, your online banking portal, your Amazon account. They have your entire digital life, all because you wanted to save a few megabytes of cellular data at the coffee shop.
It makes you look at that free Wi-Fi sign a little differently, doesn't it? It's not a perk, it's a hunting ground. Okay, so we've established the psychology. We understand the mechanics of how these accounts are breached, the fear, the ambition, the social engineering, the public networks. But what happens next? What does the hacker actually do once they are inside the walls?
The real damage starts.
This brings us to part 2 of our deep dive, the influencer's burden and the weaponization of trust. And this is where we return to that core mission statement from the source text.
The more followers you have, the greater your responsibility.
Right, because if a hacker takes over a private account with 10 followers, the damage, while awful for the individual, is isolated. But if they take over an account with 10,000 or 100,000 or a million followers, the dynamic shifts entirely. The followers become the collateral damage. The followers are the actual prey.
What's fascinating here is that hackers often do not care about the influencer themselves.
Yeah.
The influencer is just a vehicle. The hacker doesn't care about their personal DMs or their archived photos or their memories.
They just want the audience.
They care about one abstract asset, the trust that the influencer has painstakingly built with their audience over years of posting. Trust is the ultimate, most valuable currency on social media.
Let's break that down.
Think about it in real-world terms. If a random stranger approaches you on the street, shoves a clipboard in your face and says, "Give me your name, phone number, and address, and I'll give you a free iPhone," you would ignore them. You might even call the police. You have zero trust in that stranger. But if your favorite fitness influencer or a comedian you've watched every day for 3 years, someone you feel a deep parasocial bond with, if they post that exact same offer, you're infinitely more likely to engage. You transfer your trust in the person to the link they are posting. The hacker is hijacking that deeply rooted trust to deploy scams at massive scale.
Let's look at the specific examples the source provides of how this hijacked trust is weaponized against the audience. The first is the fake giveaway, the classic iPhone giveaway. We've all seen these pop up on our feeds.
Oh, constantly.
The text breaks down exactly how this operates behind the scenes. The compromised account posts a flashy, highly edited image promising a brand new phone or a gaming console to a lucky winner. But to enter, the followers are given a specific set of instructions. They are told to share the post, tag 3 friends, and critically, register for the prize through a provided link in the bio.
And that registration link is the true goal of the entire operation. The text explicitly states that this is fundamentally about data collection. Data is harvested.
It's not about a phone at all.
The giveaway is nothing but a glittering facade for a massive data mining operation. They are tricking hundreds or thousands of loyal followers into willingly handing over highly valuable personal information. Their full names, their primary email addresses, their active phone numbers.
Sometimes the scam goes further, doesn't it?
Yes, sometimes it requires a physical address or even a small credit card payment to cover supposed shipping costs for a prize that does not exist.
And the followers do it cheerfully because they trust the face smiling at them on the account. They think they're interacting with a creator they love. But it gets even darker than just stealing emails. The source moves from data harvesting to direct, devastating financial theft through paid promotion scams.
This is where it gets really ugly.
In this scenario, we aren't necessarily just talking about hacked accounts. Sometimes this involves an incredibly negligent influencer who didn't bother to vet their sponsors, and they agree to promote a fake cryptocurrency exchange or a rigged betting app.
This is where the consequences become severe, tangible, and life-ruining. The text is very blunt about the outcome here. The followers lose their money. Real money.
Because they trust the recommendation.
Exactly. They see a video of the influencer saying, "I've been using this new betting app. It's amazing. I'm making so much money." Swipe up to download. The follower trusts the endorsement. They download the app. They link their bank account. They deposit their hard-earned funds, and the money vanishes instantly. The app is a black hole. It's designed simply to absorb deposits and never allow withdrawals.
Imagine the profound emotional toll of that. Let's really put ourselves in the shoes of that follower. You are struggling. You trust this creator who talks about financial freedom. You take their recommendation, you invest a few $100s you couldn't afford to lose, and you are immediately robbed.
And it was facilitated by someone you admired.
The influencer's platform, the community you felt a part of, was the literal weapon used against you. This is the heavy burden the source is talking about. Your content, your face, your endorsement can literally cause someone else's financial ruin.
And there is one more method of audience exploitation mentioned in this section that we need to unpack very carefully because it operates a little differently. The text details the account sell or rent scam. It states that large pages, pages that have spent years building a dedicated audience around a specific niche are sometimes secretly rented out or sold entirely to third parties.
Yes, let's look at this closely because the deception here is fascinating. The text specifically outlines what happens to these rented or sold pages. It says they are subsequently used to run political or scam ads. Now, I want to pause here and address you, the listener, directly.
This is an important distinction.
When we talk about these rented accounts being used to push political advertisements, we are adhering strictly to the facts presented in our source material, and we must be absolutely definitively clear. We are not taking any political sides here.
Absolutely not. Our role is to impartially report the realities outlined in the text. Whether the political messaging pushed through these secretly rented accounts leans left, right, center, or anywhere else on the spectrum is entirely irrelevant to our analysis today.
Exactly.
We are not endorsing or condemning any specific political viewpoint. We are analyzing the mechanics of the platform misuse.
The core issue the source material is raising is not about the content of the politics, but the profound deception of the delivery method. The danger lies in the bait and switch. Let's say an audience of 50,000 people follows a page because it posts beautiful travel photography from Europe, or maybe daily comedy sketches. The audience builds a relationship with that specific, lighthearted content. They opt into that experience.
They made a choice to follow a specific theme.
Then, behind closed doors, the page administrator secretly rents the account access to a shadow buyer. Suddenly, without warning, that massive inherited audience is being bombarded with highly charged political messaging or outright scam advertisements from an unseen actor operating behind the trusted mask of the travel page.
It is a profound structural breach of audience trust. The followers are essentially being sold as a captive, unconsenting audience for messaging they never opted into. They are treated as commodities.
Just rent it out.
The text highlights this as a major misuse of the follower base. The original creator does the hard work of building the community, and the shadowy renter steps in to exploit that community's attention for their own agenda.
Which brings us right back to the golden rule. We cannot emphasize this enough. The source material ends this entire section with a massive, sobering warning to anyone who holds even a fraction of influence online. Your content, or the misuse of your platform, can cause someone else's direct financial or emotional loss. Therefore, the more followers you have, the greater your responsibility.
You cannot just chase the metrics, the likes, and the engagement. You must actively protect the human beings behind those numbers. You have a duty of care.
It really is a sobering reality. You have to treat your audience like a community you're responsible for, not just a metric to monetize. And that realization perfectly sets the stage for the next section. Because if you thought losing a few dollars on a fake betting app was bad, or having your data harvested for an iPhone was an invasion of privacy, the text is about to take us into the absolute deep end.
It truly is.
We are moving into part 3 of our deep dive. The text literally labels this section the most dangerous. We are talking about crypto and loan scams. And let me tell you, reading through this part of the source material was genuinely unsettling. The level of manipulation, the targeted emotional cruelty here is on an entirely different level.
The previous scams we discussed relied on a momentary lapse in judgment or a misplaced sense of trust. But these scams in Part 3 are designed to bypass logic entirely. They appeal directly to deep-seated greed, overwhelming desperation, and ultimately absolute psychological terror. Let's start with the crypto illusions.
The source outlines 3 specific types of crypto scams that run rampant on these platforms. The first is the double money scam. The pitch is absurdly simple. You see a post that says, send 0.01 Bitcoin to this wallet address, and we will automatically send 0.02 Bitcoin back to you instantly.
Sounds like a joke.
Right. Send a little crypto, we will double it through our special algorithm and send it right back. Now, the text definitively labels this as 100% fraud. But I have to ask, what is it about this that actually works? Because on the surface, it sounds like the oldest, most obvious trick in the book. Why do people in the modern digital age who should know better still fall for the promise of instant doubling?
If we connect this to the bigger picture of how society views emerging technology, it has everything to do with the intense mystique surrounding cryptocurrency itself.
Mystique.
Yes, for a massive portion of the general public, crypto is still this magical, incredibly complex, poorly understood realm where people supposedly become overnight millionaires for doing nothing. It feels completely disconnected from the normal, boring rules of traditional finance.
That makes sense.
If your local brick-and-mortar bank sent you an email and said, transfer us $1,000 and we will wire you $2,000 in 10 minutes, your alarm bells would deafen you. You would know immediately it's a lie because you understand how banks work.
Right, banks don't just magically spawn money out of thin air.
Exactly. But
Mhm.
because it's Bitcoin, because the pitch involves intimidating jargon like blockchain technology, smart contracts, and decentralized wallets, people suspend their normal disbelief. They think to themselves, well, I don't really understand how this works. Maybe this is just how this bizarre new technology operates. Maybe this doubling algorithm is the secret everyone on the news is talking about.
So the jargon acts like a smokescreen.
Scammers expertly exploit that lack of foundational understanding and blend it with pure, intoxicating human greed.
It's the digital equivalent of a magic trick, and the victim desperately wants to believe the magic is real. They want a shortcut. Which brings us to the second crypto method the text outlines: fake trading gurus. The source notes that these scammers use edited dashboard images and fake profit screenshots to lure people in.
This tactic is entirely about manufacturing authority from thin air. We are visual creatures. We believe what we see. If a random person in the comments tells you they are a highly successful crypto trader who can make you rich, you are naturally skeptical.
Sure, talk's cheap.
But if that same person has a profile filled with high-resolution screenshots of a complex trading dashboard showing a glowing green graph trending upwards and a wallet balance of $1.5 million, your brain immediately registers that visual as proof of competence.
Even though anyone who has ever opened a computer knows that a screenshot can be completely fabricated in Photoshop in about 3 minutes, or you can just right-click a web page, hit Inspect Element, and change the numbers on the screen to say whatever you want.
Precisely. It requires zero actual trading skill. They manufacture this aura of extreme wealth and untouchable expertise. They present themselves as the lone guru who has finally cracked the code of the Matrix. They post pictures of rented sports cars and luxury watches alongside these fake dashboards.
Building the illusion.
And once they have established that fake authority and you are sufficiently impressed, they pivot to the hard sell. They say, pay $500 for access to my premium VIP Telegram group.
Oh.
Or worse, send me your money directly, and I will invest it for you using my proprietary secret strategy. And of course, the moment the money is transferred to their wallet, the guru blocks you and vanishes into the ether.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. And by interesting, I mean incredibly destructive on a macro scale. The third crypto scam listed in the document is the pump and dump. We hear this term thrown around a lot in financial news, but the text breaks down exactly how it functions within the influencer ecosystem, and it is fascinatingly cruel.
This is market manipulation, plain and simple, and it relies entirely on the weaponization of audience trust that we discussed earlier. Here is the anatomy of the scam, moving step by step based on the source.
Break it down for us.
First, an influencer, often one who has been paid off handsomely by anonymous scammers behind the scenes, or sometimes the influencer is the primary scammer themselves, starts aggressively promoting a relatively unknown, very low-value cryptocurrency coin, a meme coin or an altcoin, with zero actual utility.
Right. So the influencer takes to their stories and they hype it up to an extreme degree. They tell their millions of loyal followers, guys, I've found the next big thing. This project is revolutionary. Get in now before it goes to the moon. This is a guaranteed winner. You do not want to miss this boat.
So let's look at the mechanics of what happens next. Thousands of trusting followers, driven by the fear of missing out, rush to their exchanges and buy the coin. Now, the basic law of supply and demand kicks in hard. Because there is a sudden, massive influx of retail buyers purchasing a coin with very low trading volume, the price of that completely worthless digital token skyrockets artificially, shoots straight up. This is the pump phase of the operation.
And the followers look at their portfolio, they see the price going up 20, 30, 50% in a day, and they think the influencer was a genius. They think they are actually getting rich. They might even buy more. But then comes the dump.
Exactly. And this is the trap springing shut. The influencer and the shadowy scammers orchestrating the event behind the scenes already owned a massive, dominant amount of this specific coin from long before the promotion began, back when it was worth fractions of a penny. They held the lion's share.
So they were waiting.
As soon as the price hits a peak, driven entirely by the influx of the followers' hard-earned money, the influencer and the scammers sell off their entire massive share all at once. They cash out for millions of dollars in real liquid profit.
And what happens to the price of an asset when a massive holder suddenly dumps all their supply onto the market at once?
The price crashes instantly. The bottom falls out. It plummets back to near zero in a matter of minutes. The influencer vanishes with the massive profits, claiming the market is just volatile. Meanwhile, the loyal followers are left holding digital assets that are now completely worthless.
All gone.
Their real money, their savings, was essentially transferred directly out of their bank accounts and into the pockets of the influencer. The followers weren't joining an investment community, they were being used as exit liquidity.
It is so predatory. It takes the concept of the more followers you have, the greater your responsibility, and completely sickeningly inverts it. The influencer actively uses their followers as livestock to be sheared for personal gain. It's devastating.
It is.
But as dark and financially ruinous as the pump and dump is, the source text moves on to something that I think is arguably the most visceral, terrifying, and psychologically damaging threat in the entire document. We need to talk about the nightmare of loan app scams.
Yes. We really need to unpack this carefully. If the crypto scams prey on greed, aspiration, and the desire for quick wealth, the loan app scams prey on sheer, unadulterated desperation, and they end in absolute psychological terror. We need to walk through this step by step, taking our time, because the trap is incredibly sophisticated and the emotional toll is catastrophic.
Let's really dedicate some serious time to this, because the human element here is heartbreaking. I want to build this hypothetical scenario for you, the listener, based entirely on the mechanics the source provides. I want you to feel how easily this happens.
It's designed to happen easily.
Imagine you're in a really tough spot. Maybe it's late at night, bills are piling up on the kitchen counter, you're short on rent, your car needs a repair you can't afford, and you're feeling a deep, suffocating sense of desperation.
A feeling a lot of people know too well.
You're lying in bed, scrolling endlessly through social media just to numb your brain, and you see a slickly produced ad for a loan app. It promises instant approval, no credit checks, no paperwork, cash deposited directly into your account in 5 minutes. All you have to do is download the app.
So, driven purely by necessity and the stress of the moment, you click the ad and download it. You open the app on your phone, and before you can even begin to fill out an application for the loan, a standard-looking system permissions pop-up appears on your screen.
Those standard pop-ups we click past 100 times a day.
Exactly. It asks for two very specific things. Allow access to contacts and allow access to photo gallery.
And this right here is the critical point of no return moment, because you're deeply stressed, because you're exhausted, because you just need that $200 to survive the week and feed your family. You aren't thinking about cybersecurity protocols. You just view these pop-ups as an annoying hurdle standing between you and the money you need, so you blindly tap allow so you can move to the next screen.
It's an automatic reflex at that point.
But expert, what is fascinating and terrifying is what happens in that fraction of a second. Explain the mechanics of what the user just authorized. Because they haven't just borrowed money, have they? They have handed over the keys to their entire social life.
That is exactly what happens. The moment you tap allow, the app's hidden malware instantly goes to work in the background. It silently scrapes every single phone number, every email address, and every mapped relationship in your phone's contacts. It knows who your mother is, who your boss is, who your colleagues are.
It maps out your whole world.
Simultaneously, it scrapes every private photo, every family picture, every intimate selfie, every screenshot you have ever saved in your gallery. It uploads all of this deeply personal data to the scammer's external servers. And then, once they have secured your entire digital life as collateral, the hook is set. The app actually does what it promised. It provides the very small loan. They deposit the money.
Which is the most brilliant, twisted part of the scam. You see the money hit your account, and you feel a massive wave of relief. The stress dissipates. You pay your urgent bill, you think everything is fine, the crisis is averted. But then the real nightmare, the extortion, begins. The text states they charge a huge interest rate.
Huge is an understatement in these scenarios. We are not talking about standard credit card interest. We are talking about astronomical, completely unreasonable, predatory interest rates. A small loan of $200 can multiply into an unpayable debt of $1,000 in a matter of days. And the scammers know the user inevitably cannot pay it back. They targeted you because you were desperate. That is the entire design of the trap. They want you to default.
So, the inevitable happens. You miss a payment because the interest is impossible to keep up with. And this is where the blackmail starts. It doesn't start with a polite collection call from a bank representative. It starts with aggressive, abusive text messages. It starts with threats. And then comes the climax of this entire terrible ordeal. Expert, please explain the specific, horrifying detail the text reveals about what these scammers do next when you can't pay.
The source material is very explicit about this next step, and it is genuinely chilling. The text explains that these scammers will take the photos they scrape from your gallery and they will fabricate doctored, highly compromising images of you and threaten to send them to your family.
Let's really analyze the psychological dread of this tactic. Let's pause and think about what that actually means. They take the innocent photos they stole, maybe a smiling picture of your face from a family vacation. They use advanced software, maybe even AI tools, to digitally graft your face onto compromising, humiliating, or deeply explicit, inappropriate images. They create a convincing, horrific fake.
And remember, because they also scraped your entire contact list, they don't just have the fake image. They have the distribution network. They know exactly how to cause the maximum amount of damage to your life.
They hold all the cards.
The blackmail is no longer just about ruined credit or aggressive debt collection. They send you a message with the doctored image attached, and they say, if you do not pay us this exorbitant amount of money by 5:00 p.m. today, we are sending these highly explicit photos to your mother, your spouse, your children, and the HR department at your job.
It is psychological torture. It's absolute terrorism. You're completely trapped. You can't just delete the app because they already have the data on their servers. They've weaponized your own private life, your own face, and your own relationships against you. The terror of having your reputation permanently destroyed, of having your loved ones see something horrific featuring your face, drives people to absolute despair. They will empty their bank accounts, they will borrow from friends, they will do anything to stop those photos from being sent. This isn't just a financial scam anymore. It is extortion of the highest order. It destroys lives.
And we have to remember, it all started with a simple, standard-looking pop-up asking for permission to access your gallery. One tap of the finger on a screen in a moment of desperation led to total psychological subjugation. It perfectly tragically illustrates exactly why the text labels this specific section the most dangerous. The financial loss is bad, but the emotional toll, the shame, the panic, it is incalculable.
It's incredibly heavy. It really is. It makes you realize how vulnerable we all are when our data is exposed. But this heaviness is exactly why we are doing this deep dive today, because knowledge is the only viable defense against this kind of sophisticated predation. You have to know exactly how the trap works so you don't step in it when you are vulnerable.
Exactly.
And that brings us, thankfully, to part 4. The defense playbook and spotting red flags. The source document doesn't just outline the horrors and leave us in the dark to fend for ourselves. It gives us a clear, actionable way out.
Yes, the text provides a very specific, highly useful list of danger signals. These are the linguistic phrases and psychological tactics that should immediately trigger your internal alarm system the moment you encounter them online.
I'm going to rattle off the specific phrases the text warns about. If you are scrolling and you see any of these, you need to stop immediately and assume you are being targeted. The red flags are limited time offer, guaranteed profit, act fast, send OTP, and crypto secret strategy.
Now, notice the common psychological threads woven through all of those phrases. They all rely on doing one of two things: manufacturing a false sense of extreme urgency, or promising impossible certainty in an uncertain world.
Act fast.
Right. Limited time offer and act fast are designed to trigger that exact same panic and adrenaline rush we talked about earlier with the fake copyright strike. They want you to move so quickly that you don't have time to consult your logical brain or ask a friend for advice. Guaranteed profit and secret strategy appeal directly to the greed and the desire for a shortcut that we discussed in the crypto scams. They promise a reward without the risk.
The source actually summarizes the golden rule of identifying red flags perfectly. It says if something seems very easy, the chances of it being a scam are incredibly high. It is such a simple rule, but it is so profound. There is no magic money button on the internet. Nobody is giving away free wealth.
That is the ultimate truth filter for the digital age. If an offer feels too good to be true, or if it feels like a miraculous shortcut to wealth, status, or a resolved crisis, it is almost certainly a trapdoor. You have to train your brain to view easy as synonymous with dangerous when you are online.
So how do we build our armor? How do we fortify the trinity of our identity, business, and income? The source document ends with the final safety checklist. We are going to walk you through these exact protective measures, turning them from abstract concepts into actionable conversational advice that you can and should implement the minute this deep dive ends. The first item on the checklist: use a password manager.
We spent a good amount of time laughing in frustration earlier about the disaster of people using 1234556. A password manager is the ultimate solution because it completely eliminates human laziness from the equation. A password manager is an encrypted vault that generates wildly complex 20-character passwords, like a random string of uppercase letters, numbers, and symbols for every single different site you use. And the beauty is, it remembers them all for you.
You only need to know one thing.
You only have to remember one strong master password to unlock the vault. It solves the weak password vulnerability and the reused password vulnerability instantly. If one site gets breached, the hackers only get a useless jumble of characters that doesn't work anywhere else.
It is the easiest massive security upgrade you can make. The second item on the checklist is crucial, and we've touched on it, but we need to refine it. Turn on two-factor authentication or 2FA everywhere, but the text adds a very specific vital note here. It explicitly states that using an authenticator app is much better and much safer than using SMS text messages for your 2FA codes. Now, based on our earlier extensive discussion about how hackers use social engineering to steal OTPs, I want to ask you, expert, why does an authenticator app beat SMS so decisively? What is the mechanical difference?
This is a fantastic connection to make, and it's a distinction most people don't realize. Think back to the 2FA reset attack we analyzed. The hacker tricks you into copying and forwarding a 6-digit code that was sent to your phone's Messages app via SMS. SMS is fundamentally vulnerable in several critical ways. Firstly, at a technical level, text messages can be intercepted over cellular networks, or hackers can use techniques like SIM swapping to port your actual phone number to their own device, meaning they receive your text directly.
Which is terrifying.
But more importantly, on a psychological level, a text message is incredibly easy to forward. It is a static piece of text sitting quietly in your Messages app.
Right. It takes 2 seconds to just copy it and paste it into a DM to the friend or the support agent who is asking for help. It requires very little effort to make the fatal mistake.
Exactly. An authenticator app like Google Authenticator, Authy, or Duo is a fundamentally different piece of technology. It is a standalone application that lives securely locally on your physical device. It does not rely on your phone carrier's cellular network to receive a text message, so it cannot be intercepted in transit or stolen via SIM swap. Instead, the app uses an algorithm to generate a brand new, randomized 6-digit code locally on your screen every 30 seconds. It's a rolling code.
Every 30 seconds, that's fast.
Because it's not a text message, it can't be accidentally routed to someone else's phone, destroying the scammer's "I typed your number by mistake" excuse. Furthermore, the constant 30-second rotation of the code makes it incredibly difficult for a hacker to socially engineer it out of you in real time. By the time the scammer messages you, you read it, you open the app, you copy the code, and you send it to them, the code is likely already expired and refreshed. The text is absolutely 100% correct here. You must move away from SMS text verification and use a dedicated authenticator app.
That is such a critical, granular upgrade to make. It removes so much of the human error. Okay, item 3 on the safety checklist. Avoid logging in on public Wi-Fi entirely.
We painted the very vivid picture of the coffee shop earlier, with the hacker grabbing your passwords out of the air like postcards. The rule here is incredibly simple, black and white. If you do not own and control the router, do not trust the network with your sensitive data. If you are at an airport, a hotel, or a cafe, and you absolutely must check your bank balance or log into a crucial social media account to post for your business, turn off your phone's Wi-Fi connection completely. Force your phone to use your cellular data network, your 4G or 5G. It is infinitely more encrypted and secure than an open, unencrypted public router.
Item 4. Never give out personal details for giveaways.
This shuts down the massive data harvesting operations we discussed. If an influencer is promising you a free $1,000 iPhone, but the link demands your home address, your phone number, and a credit card number to cover $10 in shipping, your critical thinking has to kick in. It's a scam. True, legitimate corporate giveaways do not require you to surrender your privacy or your credit card to receive a prize. Your data is the actual prize they are after.
Item 5. Only use trusted exchanges for crypto.
This is your primary defense against the fake gurus with the doctored dashboards and the shady, unregulated apps that disappear with your deposits. If you are going to interact with cryptocurrency at all, do it exclusively through major, heavily regulated, highly vetted platforms that have a long track record of security. Do not ever click a random link in an Instagram bio or trust a Telegram group to trade your money.
And finally, item 6. Only use verified companies for loan apps.
This is the absolute firewall against the nightmare extortion scenario we spent so much time analyzing. If you are in a crisis and you desperately need a loan, Go to a recognized, heavily regulated financial institution, a real bank. Do not, under any circumstances, download a random app you saw heavily promoted in a late-night social media ad. And above all else, read the permissions the app requests. A legitimate financial loan app does not need and will never ask for permission to access your private photo gallery or scrape your entire contact list.
That is the ultimate red flag. If an app asks for your private photos in exchange for giving you money, delete it from your phone immediately. It is not a loan, it is a trap designed to blackmail you.
Precisely. It is a digital hostage situation waiting to happen.
Which brings us to the end of this incredibly dense, eye-opening, and frankly exhausting journey through the dark side of the internet. Let's take a breath and recap what we've uncovered today from this 14th day document. We started with the profound realization that our social media accounts are no longer just playgrounds for our vanity. They are the consolidated trinity of our identity, our business, and our income source. We watched, step by step, how hackers expertly use sheer, unadulterated panic to bypass our logic and steal our passwords through fake copyright claims. We saw how they use our own ambition and desire for success to trap us with fake brand collaborations.
We saw how even advanced state-of-the-art security like 2FA can be completely neutralized by simple human politeness, and how sitting innocently in a coffee shop on public Wi-Fi can expose your entire digital life to a silent, unseen observer across the room.
From there, we explored the heavy, undeniable burden of influence. We saw how hackers hijack years of built-up parasocial trust to deploy fake giveaways for massive data harvesting, and how loyal followers are manipulated into losing real money on fake betting apps endorsed by faces they recognize. We had to impartially acknowledge the deeply troubling reality that large, inherited audiences on secretly rented accounts are often treated as commodities, subjected to political messaging or outright scams they never signed up for.
And then we waded into the darkest waters of the text, the most dangerous threats. We dismantled the crypto illusions, the absurd promises of magically doubling money, the fake gurus manufacturing authority with Photoshop, and the devastating pump-and-dump market manipulation that enriches the influencer while leaving the followers holding completely worthless bags. And finally, we confronted the absolute psychological terror of the loan app scams, where a single moment of late-night desperation leads to the systematic scraping of your life and the horrific extortion of your family and friends with edited, doctored photographs.
It is a terrifying gauntlet of threats. It feels like the internet is just a minefield. But crucially, we also armed ourselves today. We didn't just stare at the problem. We learned to spot the red flags, the manufactured, false urgency, the impossible promises of guaranteed profit. And we walked away with a definitive, actionable checklist. Adopting password managers, upgrading to authenticator apps, prioritizing cellular data over public Wi-Fi, and maintaining absolute, unwavering skepticism toward flashy giveaways, unverified crypto links, and shady loan apps asking for our photos. Which brings us to the source material's final, resounding message. Expert, bring it home for us. What is the ultimate takeaway?
The document closes with a profound, undeniable truth about the modern age. Social media is power, it is reach, it is influence, and with that immense power comes immense responsibility. The more followers you have, the greater your responsibility. Your digital footprint is not just about you anymore. It is about the community you interact with, the people who look to you, and the safety of the individuals who place their trust in your content. You are the steward of your audience's digital safety.
It is a heavy mantle, but it's a necessary one if we are going to survive in this ecosystem. Now, before we sign off today, I want to leave you, the listener, with a lingering provocative thought, something to really mull over as you navigate your feeds and interact with your favorite creators today. This thought builds entirely on what we've learned from our source material about the rapidly evolving sophistication of these scams. We've talked extensively today about how scammers are getting incredibly adept at faking the environment around the influencer. They fake the brand collaboration contracts, they perfectly edit the trading dashboards to manufacture authority, and they expertly manipulate our deep-seated aspirations and fears to convince us to hand over our accounts. They are absolute masters of digital illusion.
They truly are. The illusion is their primary weapon.
So, if they are getting this good at faking the environment, what happens in the very near future when a hacker no longer just takes over the account, but flawlessly mimics the influencer's entire identity? The text explicitly talks about scammers editing photos to create convincing, compromising images to blackmail families. That technology is already here. So what happens when that exact same technology evolves to the point where they can generate video and audio so perfect, so seamless, that the followers have absolutely no way to tell the difference between the real creator and the digital imposter? What happens when the face on the screen telling you to invest in a pump and dump crypto scheme isn't just a hacked account, but a perfectly synthesized digital ghost of someone you trust? If our identity, our business, and our income are entirely housed on these screens, as the text suggests, how do we verify the humanity behind the screen when the trap is perfectly disguised?
That is the ultimate existential question of the next digital era. And it makes the foundational protections we discussed today not just helpful recommendations, but absolute non-negotiable necessities for basic digital survival.
Something to think about next time you see a guaranteed profit or a limited time offer from your favorite creator or anyone else online. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Stay curious, stay highly vigilant, and we will see you next time.